Hi everyone, today we're going to be doing a Bluebonnet landscape. Follow along the best you can. I'll be using chalk pastel. If you have chalk pastels, you can use those too, but sidewalk chalk could work just as well. Here we go.
Okay, so I'm using computer paper, but you can use whatever you can find around the house. I'm going to start with a kind of like just a regular blue, and I'm going to go ahead and draw my landscape by starting with the horizon line. Now the horizon line, let's go ahead and start about midway up your paper. Draw two very subtle hills. 1, 2. They're very subtle. They're not very big or exaggerated. Then we're going to draw a few different layers in the background. Sorry for the sirens. Here we go. So I'm just kind of going straight across almost, maybe a little bit of a dip in the middle. I'm going to draw one more very close to the one I just drew. Remember, the earth is not perfect, so if your lines aren't perfect, that's okay. And I'm going to draw a little bit of a subtle mountain range or some deeper hills in the background right back here. Okay? Using the same blue, I'm going to lay my chalk flat on its belly. Let me use my feet to hold this down. There we go. Now I'm going to go right along the edge, move that out of the way, and I'm just going to go along the top of my paper, and we call that scumbling. Some of you may already know what scumbling is, but if you don't, it's where you lay your chalk pastel flat and you rub the belly on the paper like that. I'm going to get a lighter blue. If you don't have a lighter blue, that's okay. But I'm gonna get a lighter blue. If you don't have a lighter blue, you can just add very, very lightly that blue a little bit closer and press a little harder on it towards the edges so that it appears darker on the edges and then lightens up in the middle. Now I'm gonna just take my finger, it doesn't matter which one, I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna rub the darker blue along the edge for the sky. Okay, and then I'm going to fade it in by pulling in. Now I'm working on a white surface, so if you're working on like concrete, you're not done. You'll need to take a white pastel and scumble that white. That is a very yellowish white, but you'll need to do that right along here in the middle of your paper. Why is that so yellow? I think I grabbed a light yellow instead of a white, but that's supposed to be white. Okay, like that. And I'm just gonna use my fingers to kind of smear it all in for that sky, just like that. Okay, remember, if you're working on concrete, you might need to add a little bit more chalk or rub it a little bit harder to get it to blend in. All right, now I'm gonna take a soft, a very soft light blue again, and I'm gonna take that light blue right here and I'm gonna color in those mountains. Very light blue, okay? Very light blue mountains because they're way far away in the distance. Rub that in with my finger. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Very far away, light blue mountains. Okay? Now I'm gonna take a dark green. Let's see, maybe like a dark green like this one here, very dark green. And I'm going to do that next layer with that dark green. I'm just going back and forth, trying my best to stay inside the lines. And I'm filling that in just like that. Okay? I'll lay that down, use my finger, rub that in, so that the white isn't showing through, or if you're on the concrete, so that the concrete doesn't show through. Okay, it's a little dusty, so I'm gonna blow it off real quick. Blow some of that chalk away. If you're inside, make sure you don't blow that chalk everywhere, okay? If you're inside, take it outside to blow off the chalk. Now I'm gonna get a lime green. If you don't have a lime green, you could use a yellow and then layer a little bit of blue on top. So I'm going to use a lime green, and I'm going to color in this next layer right here using that lime green. Just like that. I'll lay lay that back down, put it back in its spot. Okay, I'm gonna put that back in its spot too. Using a finger, I'm gonna blend out. Try not to get too much into that dark green color, like I did. I'm gonna try and keep this as bright as possible right here. Okay, you can blow off any excess chalk. Okay, now I'm gonna go back and grab my dark green again, and I'm going to go ahead and line the foreground here with that dark green. Before I move on though, I'm gonna add a few trees sticking up from that foreground. So I'm gonna smear that in so it's nice and subtle, so I don't have to go back and do that and risk messing up my trees later. So I'm just gonna smear that in. Now to do that, I'm just gonna do like a zigzag, back and forth, and I'm gonna go up a little bit into the sky. There's one. Now I'm just going back and forth and kind of just scribbling in place to create it. And you can do a few like that. Maybe you have a small one here. Maybe there's a big one right over here or something. Okay, that's all I'm doing. I'm just going back and forth, like a zigzag that's really squished and close together. Okay, there's a few maybe right here. Oops, back and forth. So if that happens to you where the chalk breaks and you can't pick up your paper to get it off, use your fingernails and lift it off carefully. If you press it, it'll smear into your sky. There we go. So now I've got some trees. Okay, I'm actually gonna go back and grab that dark green, and I'm gonna scumble. Remember, that's laying it down on its belly. Scumble it all in down here. Crazy, you're like, where are the bluebonnets gonna go? I know, but just trust. Trust me. We're gonna take that dark green. I'm not pressing hard at all. If you press too hard, you're gonna get so much extra chalk that you don't need, okay? I've got it all scumbled in. Now all blocked in, I'm going to go ahead and use my fingers and rub it in carefully so I don't mess up my trees. Okay, and right now it feels like one giant mass of dark green with some white poking through because I haven't finished rubbing it all in. And we'll need to actually pick some lighter greens now and go in and break it up. Again, if you don't have lighter greens, if you only have like one type of green, you can use yellows or blues to go in and break it up, okay? All right. So I'm gonna grab some different kinds of greens. I'm gonna grab a true green. I'm gonna scumble that in. Now don't do it everywhere, okay? We actually kind of wanna have it be in clumps. Maybe some right here. Maybe some right over here. And I'm gonna add some right here and here. Okay, now I'm gonna get maybe some olive green. Mix some of that in there. You can scumble it or not. Notice I'm not putting all the same colors everywhere. I'm gonna put some lime green way back over here. Okay, not a whole bunch. And not all in the same area. So some spots have light green, some have dark green, some have middle green, some have olive green. And then I'm gonna take a few fingers. You can use one finger or a few fingers, and I'm gonna kind of blend it all in. Okay. Now I'm gonna add some grass blades that are close to us. So I'm gonna take my dark green again, going back to the dark green. And up close, I'm gonna use some linear strokes. So when they're close, things are closer to you, they're gonna seem bigger, okay? Because we can see more of them and they're closer. That's the point of view. When they get farther away, they're gonna appear smaller. Look how tiny those trees are, okay? We won't be able to see the grass blades way back there. But up front, down here, we will be able to see quite a bit of those crazy wild grass blades. So I'm gonna put a few here, maybe a few over here. And they're gonna be pretty big. As you start to get farther and farther away though, they should get smaller and smaller and probably farther apart, right? So smaller, teeny tiny, way back here. Way. Now I'm just basically doing like squiggle lines. Way back, far away. You can't even see it back there. I'm just gonna put some dark lines like that. Okay, so you'll want to do that, but go ahead and let's add a little bit more darkness here. Because it's closer to us, we actually get a chance to see more of the shadows. So it is going to appear a little bit darker closer to us and a little bit lighter farther away. So I'm going back and I'm actually darkening some of the grass up front, okay? I'm just kind of squiggling and drawing some short grass back there. Okay, now I'm going to add a few other colors like I did when I was just going side to side. Not a whole bunch, just a few up front here. Oops. Okay, just kind of random. I'm gonna add some highlights with the light green right here. Okay, now I'm not going all the way to the edge, so if you don't go all the way to the edge, it might be better to like tape the edges, or to mark off the edges, so that way you have somewhere to grab it where you won't mess up your picture. I forgot to tell you about that in the beginning. Sorry, guys. Okay, those are what we call details, guys. Details. Now we're gonna add some Bluebonnets. Now I'm gonna pick a blue. Let's see, this blue looks good. And way back here, I'm just gonna put some patches of blue. Way back here. Those are gonna be like fields and groupings of the Bluebonnets, okay? All right, as they get, oops, part of that back. As they get closer, we can start to see a little bit more. So I'm just kind of like squiggling and wiggling my chalk in a vertical line. So wiggle, 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 all the way kind of back and forth right on top of each other to make it look like some of those Bluebonnets are a little bit closer. Right up here, okay. Oops, I broke my pastel a little bit. I'm gonna use that to my advantage and rub that chalk in. Here we're gonna have some bigger ones, bigger Bluebonnets, so I'm gonna actually press and press and press and press into my paper to make it look kind of like more individualized petals. Now my paper can't hold much more chalk pastel because there's like basically no tooth or depth in this paper. There's no like texture to hold more chalk. If you have a paper that has more tooth, you can add a whole lot more flowers, but I'm just press, 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 just like that, okay? All right, so we're getting somewhere. I'm gonna add a few different types of blue, maybe some darker blues. And these ones that are closer to me, let's see, can we add some darker blues? Squiggle, squiggle. Remember, you're going to see more shadows on the things that are closer to you. So the darker blues will be on the Bluebonnets that are closer. And really, it's just a bunch of scribble in a very targeted place. Like that, okay. I'm gonna add some blue along the edges here to kind of anchor my composition down. I'm gonna add some of this navy blue down here at the bottom. Maybe some right here too. Maybe break some of that big color up. Uh-oh, that is not where I want it to be. Okay. And you can do groupings of these colors. Okay. And maybe if you want to, you can add a few like lighter colors or like brighter flowers. I'm gonna do some maybe like tops to the blue bonnets of the ones that are close by, just by doing a few little light dots to break up some of the blues and greens. Oops. Put some squiggles of light blue way far away along the edges of some of those blue fields like that. Okay, and I'm gonna throw in some surprise colors, like maybe like a coral way back here for little groups of Indian paintbrushes. I think it will help kind of mix up and amplify the blues and the greens by adding some contrasting colors or complementary colors. Just a few, just like that. Okay. Okay, I can't stay long because Frances just woke up from her nap, but here's an example of our Bluebonnet landscape. So remember, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Just do the best you can. Post your artwork in the comments below. I'd love to see what you come up with. All right, guys, bye. Have a great day.